Hi, this is my Alice assignment for coding section. And to begin, I'm first just going to show you, this is my first method. So I'm going to go through these all in a minute, but first I'm going to start with showing you each of my different procedures. So to begin, my first procedure is a walk procedure, and it's in my biped section. So for my bipeds, each of them are different monsters theoretically, and they each use the walk procedure to move forward in the beginning of the video. So my walk procedure consists of using a variable, which is a constant, which uses a decimal number to turn around a certain amount. And in this, each biped will lift their knee, turn forward a certain amount, and for a certain duration, and then they'll do the same with their right knee, but it has it go backwards a certain turn amount and a certain duration, and then they will move forward. And then this proceeds to happen 2 other times in the whole thing to make it be a equal amount of walking. My next procedure is a jump procedure, and that's also for the bipeds. And this one's pretty simple. It's just having each monster move up one a certain duration, and then they each turn left a certain duration, and then move down. So it's pretty much jumping up, spinning around, and moving back down. And each biped does this. My next procedure is an object scare procedure, and in this, it has a parameter of an S prop, which is named an object. And in this one, each biped will turn to face a certain object, and in this situation in the video, they face pumpkins, and the object will get distance in front of the pumpkin, which is greater or equal to 0.25, and then they will use the procedure walk to move forward. Then in an if statement, if the pumpkin is painted orange, then the biped will say boo, and then the pumpkin will disappear. And then if that doesn't work and it's and the paint of the pumpkin is white, then the biped will say trick or treat, and the object of the pumpkin will disappear. And in this, I have a while loop, and this is my first while loop, and in it, the pumpkin will get distance in front of the biped, which is greater than equal to 0.25, and then the biped will walk, and this will happen until the distance is no longer 0.25. My next procedure is a circle procedure, and this allows the bipeds to turn right a certain amount of times, as seen by the same monster or the biped, for the duration of 0.5. So pretty much in the video, all the monsters go around each other in a circle. And this one has many different parameters. That we have the biped parameter for monsters, we have a decimal parameter for how many times that they're going to circle around, and then we have a parameter for turn direction and which way each circle is going to move. My next parameter is for my bat biped, and this is used at the beginning and end of my first method section, and this parameter uses a decimal number, which is distance arm to radio. So to begin, the bat will spread its wings, and it will fold its wings, and then he or she, whatever the biped is, will use its right hand to move forward using the distance arm to radio. So depending how far the radio is, it will move its finger down to turn the radio on, which in the whole video will eventually have music play. And then finally, my last parameter procedure is a color random procedure, and this is used for one of the props. And so for instance, the props is the skulls in the video, and so I use a variable again, which is a constant, which is a whole number, and it's named random integer. So if the random integer is 1, then it is true that if the pumpkin or the skull is painted orange, if it gets called 1.1, 0.4, or 0.0, then that certain skull or pumpkin will turn to that specific color. So next, I'm just going to show you my function. So my first function is in the scene section, and this function is called spin, and it has the parameter for a biped, which is named monster. And in this, the monsters, which are the bipeds, will jump using one of the procedures, and it will use a for each loop. And so we use an array. And so my first array is for bipeds, and it's called some animals, and these specific animals inside the array are just the monsters, which are all 3 bipeds. And so in this, the monsters will get their right hip will turn backwards 0.5 at a duration of 0.5. The monsters will turn right 1.0, and the monster's right hip will then go forward 0.5. So pretty much the spin function involves the monsters moving their right hip, turning and moving it back down. And then my other function is for my props, which are the skulls in the video, and it's a resize function. And in this, the two skulls will resize to 2.0, and then they will turn right a whole circuit of 1.0. And then we also use another array, which is for a text string, and this is called skeleton phrase. And in this text string, it can say, each skull will say it's a spooky night or mawahaha. And in this, the whole number, which is a random integer, is called up from 0 to 1, and they have a random chance each skull of saying the certain skeleton phrase, which would be it's a spooky night or mawahaha. So finally, I'm going to show you my first method section and go down and through this whole thing with you. So first we have comments of the starting camera view and where the start of the scene begins. So the camera will move to the starting camera view, and then this two together block shows the bat and the stereo disappearing and all the bipeds and their billboards attached reappearing. And so the first procedure, again, as mentioned, is the walk. So each of the bipeds will walk forward. They will complete an array, which is the spin array, which we talked about. And then the occurrence of an each and together loop will occur using the spin array to have the jump procedure occur. And then we use the circle procedures for each of the different bipeds. And then each of the pumpkins will appear. And then the second array, which is the prop array, which distinguishes which pumpkin is going to be used. Then down here, we have each of the object scare procedures occurring and whether or not these object scare procedures and the bipeds will move and orient to each of them. So in the video, the bipeds move towards a certain pumpkin, and then they'll do the object scare procedure, which is saying one of the phrases. Then each of the bipeds will turn and face the starting camera view, and then the camera will move to the top view, and another array occurs, which is a biped spin parameter with the biped spin array, and in this array, each of the bipeds will specifically do a certain spin with the jump as well, like mentioned earlier. And in this, we have our second while loop, and we have a variable, which is the whole number name, which is num, is 0. And so in the while loop, if num is less than or equal to 2, so 0 is less than or equal to 2 is true, then the certain monster will spin and jump. And so if 0 is plus 1, so then this occurs 2 times. Then we have the do together, which is a set opacity, having the skulls reappear, and the camera move back to the starting camera view, and then we have an each and together loop again for the array, which is for props, and it's both the skulls, and then we use the function resize and the procedures of color random. The skulls disappear, all the monsters do the procedure of the circles again. The skulls reappear, they say boo, we're back. Then we also go back and use the same array and the same procedures for the color random and resize. The skulls disappear. One last time, all the bipeds jump up, and then all the bipeds and their billboards disappear. The bat and the stereo reappear. We move back to we move to the bat closed view camera view. So this means that the bat and the stereo are really close up to the camera. The bat will spread his wings one more time, and then we'll use the turn on and off radio procedure, which allows for the bat to move his hand down to touch the radio to turn it off. And then the bat says Happy Halloween, which allows the music to then shut off. So this is my codes for my assignment 4. Thank you.